In the shadows of forgotten theme parks across the UK, chilling tales await. From haunted rides to restless spirits, these 15 terrifying stories reveal haunted places where the past never rests. One Chessington World of Adventures. The Beast Keeper Who Never Left. Tucked away in leafy Surrey, Chessington World of Adventures is known for thrilling rides and exotic animals. But beyond the cheerful chatter of families and roller coaster screams, there lingers a darker legacy, one whispered among longtime staff and nighttime security patrols. According to local legend, a beast keeper met a grim fate decades ago while caring for the big cats. Mauled to death in a freak incident, his spirit is said to haunt the very pens he once lovingly maintained. Staff report hearing the faint clang of feed buckets in the dead of night, even when the enclosures are empty. One former zookeeper even claimed to see a man in khaki walking into the restricted animal area, only for him to vanish into thin air. The Wild Asia Zone is particularly notorious. Ride operators insist they've heard heavy breathing and soft growling near the jungle bus attraction when no animals were nearby. Doors slam without warning, and radios crackle with unexplained static, often just before closing time. Visitors often pass through unaware, but Chessington's loyal crew know better. They say the keeper remains, dutiful even in death, watching over his beasts from beyond the grave. 2. Flambards Theme Park, the Victorian Lady of Shadows. Deep in the Cornish countryside lies Flambards, a charming family park known for its quaint Victorian village replica. But those cobbled alleys and gas-lit shopfronts may be more than just a trip into history. They may be haunted by it. Museum staff and visitors alike have reported sightings of a woman in a dark Victorian gown, wandering silently through the faux 19th century streets. Her presence is always accompanied by an icy chill and the unmistakable scent of lavender perfume. She's most often seen inside the apothecary or near the chapel, usually in the quiet moments just before closing. Some believe she was a real Victorian resident whose spirit clung to her surroundings as time passed her by. Others say she is a tragic remnant of the 1800s, a grieving mother who lost her children to a local cholera outbreak and wanders in search of them still. Lights flicker when no one's around. Footsteps echo in empty corridors. Staff lock up early whenever they can, citing a strange energy that makes the air grow thick and heavy after dusk. At Flambards, history doesn't just come alive, it stays alive. 3. Loudoun Castle, Theme Park Ashes of the Castle. Though closed for over a decade, Loudoun Castle Theme Park remains one of Scotland's eeriest forgotten places. Built within the ruins of a 19th century castle, it was a unique blend of history and amusement, until tragedy and whispers of the paranormal took center stage. The castle itself was gutted by fire in 1941, with parts of its grand interior destroyed beyond repair. But even as the theme park thrived in the 2000s, stories of smoke, screams, and phantom figures persisted. Guests spoke of a woman in scorched period dress standing in windows that no longer had floors behind them. Security guards on night patrols claimed to smell burning wood or hear the distant toll of a bell that had been removed years prior. Some say a worker fell to his death during ride maintenance, and his ghost still haunts the area near the Twist and Shout roller coaster. Even now, ghost hunters visit the abandoned grounds, hoping to glimpse the charred lady or hear the weeping child said to wander the overgrown paths. Time forgot Loudoun Castle, but someone remembers. 4. Pleasurewood Hills Family Theme Park, the Ticket Collector. That time forgot on the surface, Pleasurewood Hills in Suffolk is as cheerful and tame as family parks come. But behind the candy floss and carousel lies a persistent tale of an unseen ticket collector who never left his post. The legend goes that in the 1980s, a ride operator passed away unexpectedly on site. Since then, strange events have been reported in the vicinity of the old theatre and certain fairground stalls. Staff working late have heard someone calling "next" behind the shuttered ticket booths, only to find no one there. Even more unsettling, several actors performing in the on-site shows have reported a shadowy figure sitting in the back row of the theatre, watching intently. One new performer reportedly refused to return after seeing the figure stand and slowly walk through a locked backstage door. Though management chalks it up to overactive imaginations, those who've worked seasons at Pleasurewood Hills tell a different story. The Phantom Usher is an unspoken reality, a silent guardian of the park's quieter corners. He doesn't harm, he simply observes. 5. Thorpe Park, the burial beneath the rides. Thrill seekers flock to Thorpe Park for its record-breaking roller coasters, but few know that beneath its foundations lie secrets far older than the park itself. During initial construction in the late 1970s, workers uncovered medieval human remains believed to be part of an unmarked plague burial ground. Rather than delay development, the remains were quietly reinterred and forgotten, at least officially. Since then, strange and terrifying phenomena have plagued the park. Maintenance crews report tools going missing, only to be found neatly arranged hours later in locked rooms. Guests have described cold spots, particularly near the Swarm, where the original dig site was located. More disturbing still, ride malfunctions often happen during quiet hours, always at the same locations, regardless of the system checks. Some say it's coincidence. Others whisper that disturbing the dead never goes unpunished. One staff member working late on Saw the Ride heard desperate knocking from inside a locked ride car. When he opened it, it was empty. They may have buried the bones, but the unrest remains. 6. Wet and Wild UK Water Park, the Boy Beneath the Waves. Before it closed its doors for good, Wet and Wild was once the largest indoor water park in the UK, a place of joy and laughter echoing off the slippery slides. But locals still whisper about the real reason the park never recovered from its decline. The legend centers around the Black Hole Slide, an enclosed pitch-dark tunnel that thrilled and terrified visitors in equal measure. A boy reportedly drowned in the plunge pool below the ride during a chaotic summer afternoon, his disappearance unnoticed for crucial moments. Though the incident was officially dismissed as a tragic accident, strange occurrences began soon after. Lifeguards started reporting the feeling of being watched while alone in the maintenance areas. Some swore they saw small, wet footprints trailing off into locked corridors. Even creepier, the emergency alarm would sometimes trigger on its own, blaring through the empty halls in the middle of the night. When the park shut down, ghost hunters snuck in. One claimed to have recorded the sound of a child giggling, echoing eerily in the dry remains of the wave pool. His body may have been recovered, but perhaps part of him never left. 7. Drayton Manor Resort, the Haunting Within. The Haunting, Drayton Manor, a family favorite in the Midlands, boasts many attractions, but none more infamous than The Haunting, a ghost-themed ride inside a supposedly cursed mansion. While the attraction was designed to scare, many believe that it has become home to a real entity. Built in 1996, The Haunting tells the tale of paranormal investigators uncovering ghostly activity. But in an eerie twist of fate, real-life staff began experiencing strange happenings, far beyond anything in the script. Unexplained whispers, cold spots, and power failures plagued the area. One technician described hearing a woman sobbing from inside the ride's stone walls during a routine check. Another refused to enter the projection room alone after witnessing an apparition in the mirrored corridor. Even outside the attraction, strange phenomena occur. In the staff kitchen, utensils reportedly rearrange themselves. Doors open despite being locked. A heavy presence is felt in the costume storage room beneath the stage. Those who know the ride best don't joke about it anymore. They say something answered the call when the park first invited the supernatural in. 8. Leisure Island Fun Park Ghosts of the Sea Air. At first glance, Leisure Island in Southend-on-Sea is as light-hearted as they come. Kiddie rides, arcade machines, and the scent of salt and vinegar chips in the air. But beneath the fun lies a history rooted in tragedy, with the ghost stories to match. The amusement park sits near the site of a 19th century shipwreck, where over 24 sailors drowned when a storm slammed their vessel against the pier. It's said their cries still echo in the wind that whips off the Thames estuary. Staff have claimed to hear footsteps in the gravel after dark, accompanied by the unmistakable sound of jangling chains. The most haunted spot? The ghost train ride. Ironically, one former operator swore he saw a figure dressed in a tattered navy coat watching him from the dark tunnel exit. When he turned to confront the man, he had disappeared. Patrons have also reported hearing faint sea shanties playing from within the ride's walls, despite no such audio being installed. Locals know better than to linger after the rides shut down. The tide goes out. The ghosts come in. 9. Psychopath when the performance possesses you. More than just a Halloween attraction, Psychopath prides itself on immersive horror, and sometimes that horror fights back. Set within the rural darkness of County Durham, the attraction draws in actors and thrill-seekers alike. But something darker is said to live behind the masks and makeup, something that doesn't leave when the sets come down. Multiple actors have reported dissociative episodes during their roles, blacking out, speaking in unfamiliar voices, or feeling an overwhelming rage they couldn't explain. One veteran actor swore he saw his own double walking the trail ahead of him, wearing the same costume, though no one else was scheduled on shift. Others claim strange figures appear in audience photos, tall, black-eyed silhouettes that weren't part of the cast. In one instance, a makeup artist quit mid-season after witnessing a prosthetic mask slowly peel off on its own. They say it started when the park was built on land once home to a derelict asylum. Whether coincidence or curse, Psychopath's terror may be more real than intended. 10. Spooky World, UK. The Farmer's Curse. Before Spooky World was a scream park, the land belonged to a man named Tom Hargreaves, a stubborn, solitary farmer who hadn't left the property in decades. Locals called him Mad Tom, blaming him for scaring off trespassers with tales of curses and shadows in the cornfields. One autumn, he vanished without a trace. No note, no body, just an axe embedded in the barn door and his old boots standing by the gate. Today, the land is lively with Halloween crowds, but staff know that some figures in the fog don't work for the park. Actors have seen a tall, bearded man watching silently from beyond the hay bales. Guests describe hearing a voice growling, "This is my land," during the hayride, but the tractor was between scenes, and no actor was nearby. The old barn, the one Tom built himself, is where most activity happens. Radios cut out, lights explode. A crew member once found every hay bale rearranged into a perfect spiral overnight. No one took credit, no one wanted to. Now, during foggy nights, a strange silence falls across the field. And when it does, some swear they see muddy footprints appearing in the gravel. One by one. 11. Ocean Beach Amusement Park. The Screaming Ride. For over a century, Ocean Beach brought thrills to the Welsh seaside until it was closed and demolished in 2007. But memories remain, and so do ghost stories, especially about one roller coaster, the Jetstream. In the late 1980s, a teen boy was killed after being thrown from its final bend. Ever since strange events unfolded, staff reported hearing screams even after the ride was dismantled. Guards patrolling after hours would hear the clatter of wheels echoing across an empty park. One security guard working a night shift shortly before demolition swore he saw a figure in a ride car, still and silent, just moments before it faded into mist. Guests claimed to feel cold gusts around the area where the Jetstream once stood. Paranormal groups later investigated the site and picked up audio of high-pitched screams and the phrase "I didn't mean to," whispered repeatedly. Today, a supermarket stands where the Jetstream once roared. But those who grew up in Rhyl still avoid walking that stretch after dark, and never on windy nights. The screams, they say, still rise from the earth when the moon is full, and sometimes the sound of a faint whistle can be heard in the wind, like a warning that the ride is never truly gone. 12. Oakwood Theme Park, The Silent Splash. In the peaceful countryside of Pembrokeshire, Oakwood thrills visitors with its high-speed rides. But beneath the cheer is a tragedy the park can never forget. In 2004, 16-year-old Hayley Williams was thrown from the hydro ride and died instantly. The ride was rebranded Drenched, but the shadow remains. Staff now speak quietly about odd disturbances. A sudden splash heard when the ride is idle, footsteps echoing on empty maintenance platforms, and cameras that mysteriously shut off near the drop zone. One technician, working after hours, saw a girl in white standing by the plunge pool, her clothes soaked, her face pale. When he looked again, she was gone. Visitors report hearing a scream just before their raft hits the water. So real, they ask if someone fell in. Nothing is ever found. Some believe Hayley's spirit replays her final moments, trapped in the ride that failed her. A new safety sign marks her anniversary each year, but staff say the flowers often wilt within hours, even if they're fresh. It's as if the water never really dries, and on stormy nights, some say they still hear her crying from the depths, lost forever in the currents. 13. Hauntings, Southport Holiday Park Room. 17. Amid the fading glamour of Hauntings Southport is Room 17, a perfectly ordinary-looking chalet with a reputation few dare to speak of. Staff avoid it. Guests complain of cold air, flickering lights, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Cleaners report strange activity, bedding pulled off by unseen hands, mirrors fogging up with no one in the shower, and a child's laughter heard when the room is empty. One manager stayed overnight to prove the stories wrong. At 3:12 a.m., he awoke to find the wardrobe doors wide open and the words "Stay here" scratched faintly into the condensation on the window. A couple once fled the room mid-stay, claiming they awoke to see a woman in a grey dress at the foot of their bed, staring, unmoving, until they turned on the light. When they reported it, staff only said, "It's happened before." The room is still rented out, But the key is never given without a pause and a look that says, "Are you sure?" And once you stay, you can never forget the feeling of someone still watching from behind the curtains. Every night, guests say the room seems colder, like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The Tropicana, the pool that whispers. The Tropicana once brought sun-seekers and swimmers to the western shore. But after its closure in the late 90s, the vast, drained pool became something else entirely: silent, eerie, forgotten. Urban explorers entered during the derelict years and spoke of strange voices. One man claimed he heard whispering that grew louder the closer he got to the diving platform. Others saw movement in the stagnant puddles, ripples that started without a cause. A local photographer snapped the empty Lido from above. In the photo, a pale child's face stared up from the dry pool floor, mouth slightly open. Experts ruled it pareidolia. The photographer never returned. During renovation for Disneyland, workers refused night shifts. One claimed his tools rearranged themselves in a perfect circle, like someone or something was watching. Another refused to speak of what he saw beneath the filtration room. Today, it's a venue of laughter and lights again. But when the wind drops and the tide is still, locals say the Tropicana breathes, and sometimes it breathes your name. The whispers get closer, like they're calling you to return. And at the darkest hours, the pool's cracked tiles seem to shimmer, as though waiting for someone to dive in forever. 15 Fear Avon Valley Scream Park. The Forgotten Soul Fear Avon Valley Scream Park is built on the grounds of a former asylum, infamous for its brutal treatments in the early 1900s. Among the dark history is the restless spirit of Evelyn, a young woman confined to the asylum under mysterious circumstances. Some believe she was misunderstood, punished for visions others thought insane, while others think she was simply a victim of cruelty. Strange things happen at the park. Visitors report seeing a pale figure in a tattered dress standing by the woods, her face lost in sorrow. Staff hear whispers of their names in the night, and sometimes, when walking through the woods, they feel an unseen presence following them. On one particular night, a paranormal group captured footsteps on their equipment, only to see a shadowy figure near an old tree, the very place Evelyn's spirit is believed to haunt. As they approached, the figure disappeared into the mist, leaving a chilling silence behind. Today, the park remains a place of thrill, but Evelyn's voice still calls to those who listen closely, trapped in the eternal torment of her past, forever haunting the grounds she once wandered. Enjoyed these creepy tales? Like, subscribe, and share creepy experience for more spooky stories.